Welcome to John Essex Sports Channel, and I want to look at the last round of League One results. What a game set this was, wasn't it? I mean, the number of upsets was just ridiculous, including my team. Bottom of the table Burton, we get thumped. Let's go back to Thursday. Thursday the 23rd. Wrexham won, Birmingham won. Now, on the face of it, you would say, well, that's a fair result. Absolutely fair result. But when you actually look at the game, it was rather an odd game. Birmingham kept possession a little bit better. They kept the ball. They passed a little bit cleaner, a little bit more technical in the passing, and I thought that the game as a whole was ran a little bit more in Birmingham's favour. However, when Wrexham had the ball, they did their usual trick of being able to get shots in. But this time they got more shots in than what they usually do. 13 shots to Wrexham, 7 to Birmingham. So Birmingham were holding that ball really well, passing it really well. Well, more passes, 422 to Birmingham, 300 to Wrexham. Birmingham had the more of the play. They had 57% possession. They passed it more. They were more clinical in their possession. However, Wrexham, when they got the ball, managed to get it up to the other end and shoot a lot more often. 13 shots, 7 on target. They would have been quite upset with one goal, really. But the problem with Wrexham is something that a lot of people have started to say now. In order to beat Wrexham, you give them the ball. Now, why are people saying in order to beat Wrexham you have to give them the ball? It needs a lot more, it needs too much time to actually go through it, but there's a reason to it, and there's a statistical reason to it. They lose the ball quite often, a lot more often than a standard sort of mid-table side. You give them the ball, they tend to be very defensive minded. They used to concentrate on a 5 at the back, remember, and that meant that half their team were in defence and the rest of the midfield were trying to sort of take the ball from them and support them in defence. So if they were going to lose the ball, statistically they were going to more likely to lose it in defence. So that's the basics behind it. So if you need to win Wrexham, you give them the ball. Why not? And they're more likely to give it to you in a really awkward position for them in the middle of their defence, which means you've got a good chance of getting an open shot on goal. So that's the reason. Now, this game seemed to be going in a similar way. Let's defend, let's try and just get those quick runs to the other side and try and beat Birmingham. 9 minutes they did, and I think that up to that point Wrexham were on top as far as the ability to get through. In the second half, when I was listening to the commentary was saying, yeah, Birmingham are actually the poorer side at the minute. Not because they've actually got the ball more often, but Wrexham, when they've got it, look an awful lot more able to just sprint straight through Birmingham's defence and have a shot. And the statistics agree with the commentator. 13 shots, 7 on target to Wrexham, 7 shots, 1 on target to Birmingham. 1-1 was indeed the right result here, I think, and it was probably one that we actually expected for once in this game set. However, if we listen to the commentator from Sky, you're actually thinking, hell, Wrexham should have walked away with this. And 13 shots to 7, yeah, they possibly will be thinking they should have won this at home, twice as many shots, yeah. But I think on the whole, these two teams have looked at each other and tried to, as we say in Yorkshire, nouse it out between each other. And they've used a bit of sense, and they've tried to make sure that at least we don't lose this game. Just make sure we don't lose it. And I think that's on the whole where I'm coming from. This game was probably always set to be a draw because neither team really wanted to lose. against the other one. So that's the first one. Then we went to Saturday, and oh my God, did Saturday change. Let's look at the games on Saturday. And we start with the Cambridge-Mansfield game. This was going to be a Mansfield walkover, wasn't it? Wasn't it? No. Cambridge 3, Mansfield 2. And Mansfield actually scored, well, they were 3-0 down. 1 minute, 7-minute penalty. And a 47-minute 3-0 lead from Ryan Loft. And Cambridge must have thought that their luck was in. They were flying. And Mansfield just didn't seem to be able to get that possession turned into full-on attack, full-on goals. Now, if I look at the lineups, because I was looking at the lineups on the day, and I realised that they got Akins up front and Will Evans up front, but they got Lee Gregory on as a substitute. Now, they only seem to win when they got Lee Gregory, and my friend Roy will be probably listening to this chuckling away. They brought Lee Gregory on 83 minutes, didn't they? They're 3-1 down, and who should score in 90 plus 1 minutes? Yeah, Lee Gregory. Now, I saw Lee Gregory not in it before they kicked off and thought, this might be a bit difficult. And it sure was. Cambridge 3 with 41% possession, 15 shots, but only 4 on target, and they scored 3 of them. This isn't usual for Cambridge. The Cambridge fans must have been astonished at the fact that they've had 4 shots on target and 3 of them were going in the back of the net. The Mansfield goalkeeper is usually a hell of a lot better than that. But they made good of their possession. They made they didn't pass. They didn't make they weren't as good at passing. It tended to be from individual moments of skill from Cambridge. It tended to be one person thinking, I can do this, I don't need to pass, I don't need to do a quick 1-2 and burst through the Mansfield line. And it seemed to work. Well, it did work. 3-0 up, and then Mansfield eventually came back to 3-2 on 90 plus 1 minutes. I was quite astonished at that goal, as it started to progress. So, first upset of the evening, as we went up to 5 o'clock, was the result coming through that it was Cambridge 3, Mansfield 2. Wow, where did that come from? Huddersfield Bolton next, and the problems that Bolton have had, and you think, surely to God, they can't overcome a Huddersfield side that have been spending a little bit, and they've said they're going to spend a lot in January. I don't know whether they've spent quite as much as they said they were going to do, but they're on the whole, they're doing well. They started to impress me, but then they started to lose points in silly games. But I still thought that they could beat a Bolton Wanderers side that were doing that have been doing pretty awful of late. In fact, sack the manager, get a taxi in for him, and send him away. And I could see why. They just haven't had that tactical prowess to change things mid-game, like they should have done at Rotherham, I suppose. So I was expecting a Huddersfield win. And it was going to be a Huddersfield win, wasn't it? Well, Huddersfield 0, Bolton 1, 67% possession to Huddersfield. Huddersfield ran this. They had nearly twice as many passes in the game. They were holding the ball, they were passing the ball, they were pretty good at passing the ball. Bolton were not very good at passing the ball at all. They only had 218 passes in the game, which realistically is not that good. However, they only had 33% possession, so you've got to think that that's actually not too bad for 33% possession. But still, I thought that the passing was a little bit awry from Bolton. However, Aaron Collins pops up 55 minutes, and it's 1-0 to Bolton. And everybody who's watching this from the sidelines on the internet are thinking, How's that happened? We ended up 67% possession to Huddersfield, 14 shots, but only 1 on target. That Bolton defence managed to make sure that they didn't get anything on target. Well, 1 shot on target, and that was it. Whereas Bolton, when they got the ball, when they managed to pass it, were quite good. And there was moments of little sparks that you could see from Bolton to say, they're not dead and buried. They're in a good position at the end of the day. And we'll go to the table in a sec. 7 shots, 3 on target, 1 in the net. They'll be happy with that because they only had 33% possession. What they've got to try and do now is get that passing a little bit better so they can keep the ball. And like I say, they're 9th in the league, 41 points. Barnsley are 6th with 42. The league is so flat, it's ridiculous. And we'll look when I go to my side again just to show you how ridiculous it is. So yeah, Huddersfield lost to Bolton, and I'm there thinking, well, that's 2 strange results that have come through today. And let's look at Barnsley versus Stevenage. Now we've got a team now. I've got to look at the league, but it's as it is now. 6th place Barnsley have ended up in, 15th for Stevenage. And I remember looking at this and thinking, surely Barnsley are going to win this one. Stevenage have dropped off an awful lot. They were up there in the top end of the table. But then Stevenage just seem to have had a few problems. And they've not done quite so well. And I know they've been active in the January window, but will it make a difference? So let's look at the stats. 59% possession to Barnsley. This is typical. They're at home. They usually have a fair amount of the possession at home. 4 shots though from 59%. That is absolutely dreadful. Can you imagine being a fan and not and thinking, well, you're going to get 2 shots in the first half and 2 shots in the second half. Wow, 20 minutes to wait before you get a shot on target. A shot at target. One of those was on target all game. I'd have been pretty dire as to how on earth you can get nearly 60% possession and only get 1 shot on target through the entire game. Stevenage, 41% possession, so roughly 40%, 13 shots, 7 of them, more than half, on target. So whenever they got through, they were just allowed open net. Let's have a quick shot at a pot shot at goal. Hey, you can get it on target from there. Barnsley just weren't defensively anywhere. From what I can see, they just didn't do what they usually do, which is a decent job in defence. Now, people say, yeah, but it did work, didn't it? Because Stevenage scored on 90 plus 2 minutes. But the stats show in this case, I think the stats show the game. 13 shots throughout that game. The away fans will have been buzzing. And they don't have to wait very long before their team has another shot at target. And half of them were on target. So the Stevenage fans must have been buzzing well before the 90 plus 2 minutes. But when the 90 plus 2 minutes came, limbs, absolute limbs. And they deserved it. They absolutely deserved it. But once again, another game. Barnsley should beat Stevenage. Absolutely. Barnsley lost. Wow. And then you get my team. They go to Burton thinking they're going to walk this one. And I think that's what they did. They've been a little bit cocky. They haven't lost this year yet. And they go away to a Burton side on the bottom. And all of a sudden, they win. And Burton win. And not only do they win, they trounce Rotherham. They absolutely blow them out of the water. Rotherham start well. Lewis Sibley scoring on 2 minutes. Was the new recruit there. But then it goes pear-shaped within 6 minutes and Burton take hold of the game. 1-1. 2-1 to Burton, 3-1 to Burton, 4-1 to Burton, and all of a sudden on 61 minutes we decide Andre Green can just make it a little bit reasonable, 4-2, but that game realistically should have ended, well, it could have ended a lot worse than that, let's just say that. It could have been 4, 5, 6 goals against Rotherham. Let's just go for the percentages. 48% possession to Burton, so Rotherham took the possession just with 52%. The passing was pretty good from both sides. 307 passes from Burton, 336 from Rotherham. From the possession, I would have that about right. So it was a good game of football on the whole. Rotherham slightly ahead on possession, slightly better on passing. A few more passes. However, 15 shots to Burton, 7 of them on target, 4 in the net. That is what you call technical ability, and they just had an eye for goal on that day. Rotherham, 12 shots on target, not as many. However, we need to get them on target, don't we? 2 on target, 2 in the net. So when we get it on target, hey, 100% conversion rate, but that's only from 2 shots on target. The other 10 were somewhere else. So whether it was overconfidence, I don't know, but we ended up with Burton trouncing Rotherham, basically. The table, and I wanted to show you this for a reason, we've got Burton in 21st position on 21 points. 22nd, you've got Cambridge, 21 points. 23rd, Crawley, 21 points. And at the bottom now, on 20 points, you've got Shrewsbury. Those bottom 4 are all 1 point away from each other. 1 point away from each other. 20 or 21 points for the whole 4. Then you've got 6 point gap to Northampton on 27. Now, Rotherham are in 13th on 34. And the reason why I want to say that is because you've got a gap then to Mansfield. Obviously, lost, just like Rotherham. And then we're on 37. Now, it goes 37, 38, 40, 41, 41, 41, 42, 44, and all that all the way up to 5th place. And you're thinking, there's only 10 points between Rotherham in fact, there's only 10 points between Stevenage in 15th on 34 and 5th place Stockport on 44. And you're thinking, that's only like 3 games and you're literally, you 3 wins in a row. I knew you could be breathing on the back of the necks of the teams in the playoff zone. It's absolutely insane, this league. So Burton Albion trounced Rotherham, and we're thinking, well, how many more can we have like this? Well, we'll go to Charlton. I mean, Charlton are definitely going to beat Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury have been able to come back, and I did think Shrewsbury could nick a draw here. However, we finished with Charlton winning the game 1-0. 90 plus 6 minutes though. This took them a lot longer than what I thought it would. So Charlton can be really technical. They didn't play very well when Rotherham played them last, but they can play really well. 11 shots from 70% possession for Charlton. 3 of them on target, 1 in the net on 90 plus 6 minutes. They took it a long time, didn't they? They need to be getting a lot more than 11 shots from 70% possession. So Shrewsbury did their usual extremely good defence. And I spoke to a few Shrewsbury fans there saying, we do actually have a really good defence. And they do. It's the attacking side that's pretty dismal at the minute. 30% possession. Okay, we won't expect too many, will we? We'd expect sort of almost edging double figures. Or for shots, no, 4. 1 of them on target. If they were lucky, it could have gone in and it could have been a draw, which I thought they could sneak. But it wasn't. It was Charlton 1, Shrewsbury 0. In the end, eventually, it was what I thought it would be. But looking as these results was going in, I was thinking, that's going to be another one where we expect Charlton to win. And they don't, but they did in the last minute. Now, Exeter versus Blackpool's a difficult one because I couldn't separate these two. And I was actually in Exeter at the time of this game. And I was speaking to Exeter fans and thinking, I can't actually split the pair of you. And before they went to the game, I said, look, I'm going to edge towards Exeter, but only because Exeter are at home. I really can't actually split the pair up. So I went with Exeter. Now, Exeter obviously slightly below Blackpool. However, at the minute, they would have been below. Exeter would have been just above them. They would have been 31. They would have been 31, and Exeter would have been on 32. So I sort of went with the one slightly ahead in the league by 1 point. And I thought, This is really one of those games where they should be winning it at home, really. They can play really good football, and Blackpool can be a little bit hot and cold. 66% possession to Exeter, 66. 14 shots, which is really good. 5 on target, and of those 5, only 1 went in the net, which is not actually too bad. For that. For mid-table, that's actually pretty decent. 1 or 2 goals I would have expected. Blackpool, though, 34% possession, 16 shots. That is pretty good. Exeter let them in far too often. 6 of those were on target, and 3 of them went in the back of the net. Half, a 50% conversion rate. This is pretty good for mid-table, isn't it? Blackpool impressed me. They really did. The way they managed to do a lot with the ball when they had it, and they had less than half of the passes in this game, and they should have done a lot worse than this. They only had 276 passes to Exeter's 531, so they weren't passing well, and they didn't have the ball very often. However, when they had it, they just seemed to shine. And they just seem to break apart that Exeter line far too easily. So that's another one where just slightly against what I thought it would be. I thought it would be an Exeter just winning it. It wasn't. It was Blackpool, in the end, quite easily winning it. Orient versus Reading. Now this is the first team that did what I thought it would do. Orient 2, Reading 0. 29 minutes and 51 minutes, and I thought, they have been doing well, haven't they, Orient? And this is one that my subscriber Roy from Mansfield said, we can look at Orient and think they're going to be up there at the end, and I think they will. Orient are now in 7th place, just 1 point behind Barnsley, and Barnsley are continuing to falter. We can see that they're all pretty much even Stevens for about that big chunk there, and at the minute of that group of teams all the way down to Stevenage from Barnsley, you can see that they're all faltering except for one, Leyton Orient. They're the only ones with momentum upwards. This game was certainly one that it sort of went as I expected. Orient very good in defence. They took 52% possession. Reading for 48%. They only managed 3 shots because Orient just kept them away from the final third. 2 of those were on target, so that was good, but they didn't get any in the net. So they ended up with 0 goals. Orient 52% possession, 12 shots. A little bit less than I would have expected from an Orient side that are doing really well. 7 of those were on target though, and 2 in the back of the net. They would have been expecting a 3. I mean, it would have been fairer. 3-0, I think, this game. 3-0, 3-1 would have been about right. 2-0 as it was, that was probably the first game that I will say that went as I expected it. So we'll move on to the next one. Then we go to Lincoln Peterborough, and realistically I thought this was going to be sort of pretty even. a Lincoln side that didn't impress me at when we played them. Didn't play very good football. They went away saying the fans saying that they played the brilliant football and Rotherham played crap, and But at the end of the day, we're talking Lincoln. I thought they played pretty awful. The next game, and I think they haven't really enamoured me with it as they did in the first third of the season. The first third of the season, I thought they played really good football, and people didn't quite know how to take them or quite how they would play on the day, and they had this ability to change the style a little bit and really just flummox the opposition. But they've stopped doing that, and they've seemed to have just sat back a little bit, and they've got a little bit jaded, just not quite playing the football that they played in the first third. So, to me, they're a team that are just they've stopped the rot, but now they're in a sort of stagnant phase. Which way will they go? Will they improve and go back up? Will they keep stagnant and stay where they are? I don't think they'll get worse and drop. But I remember thinking they'll either stagnate where they are, and which means they'll probably draw this game. We could see them get better again and regain that ability and go up, but they're playing a Peterborough side that we know can play extremely well. They've changed their style of football, I agree. It did work at first, but then it seems to have faltered a bit, and I don't think it's the class and the style of Peterborough. It's this new method of play. They just don't seem to quite understand it at the minute. Perhaps they need another couple of months, but I think they will. This team will start to improve, and they will start to climb that table. And like I said, it's so even, that table. Where are they at the minute? They're in 19th on 27 points. That group above them, the group that I'm saying can easily cross the divide into the top six, well, top five, into the fifth place, certainly. Bottom edge is Stevenage on 34, so that's only 7 points away from that group. There's a little bit of a can they get to that group, and then if they get to that group, can they get there early enough to be able to cross that divide really quickly, which whoever does a really good run could. I don't think they can. I think they may catch that group up, and that was my thinking with this game. That's why I said it. I thought Lincoln, Peterborough would be a nice, safe draw, because I just could see that if anybody really wanted to win this, it would be Peterborough. So I'd say a nice, quiet draw, possibly edging towards Peterborough. How wrong could I be? Lincoln City 5, Peterborough 1. And look at the 39% possession to Lincoln. 13 shots, 5 on target, 5 in the net. Ow. I mean, is that luck or is it just good shots? You can tell me down in the comments, please, what you think. Why did they manage to score 5 out of their 5 shots on target? Because you should be able to stop. You should be able to get your hands on at least 1 or 2 of those shots to stop them, or at least divert them away. Peterborough, 61% possession, 9 shots, 2 on target. They'd have been desperately upset by just having 9 shots and only having 2 of them on target. The fan, 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half, sort of thing. You, as a fan, if you said you're going to wait for 2 shots, 1 in the first half, you'd be, I'm going home. Peterborough, 61%, should be doing an awful lot more than that. They totally blew this one, and I don't think it was Lincoln City playing well, they did play brilliantly. 5 shots on target, 5 in the net. But I think one of the main problems with this game was Peterborough just seemed to not turn up. They just seemed to not turn up. They took the ball, they had the ball, they had more passes, a fair amount more passes, 529 against 334. So they were doing nice short passes and getting the connection. And they had the possession from it. but when they didn't have it, they just seemed to fall apart. So Lincoln 5, Peterborough 1 was certainly one of those that got me. Stockport versus Crawley next, and I'm not going to beat the drum against Crawley. You know my thoughts on that one. And again, they've done the same. Stockport, 46% possession at home. I thought they might do a bit more than that. 15 shots, 5 on target, 2 in the net. Yeah, pretty good mid-table style ratios there. Crawley, 54% possession. When they play well in that section of 40-45 minutes, they keep the ball pretty damn close to most of the time, and they play damn good football. And it just depends whether it's at the beginning, middle, or the end of the game, doesn't it? In this case, 4 shots from Crawley, none of them on target, and Stockport just managed to keep that back third completely void of any Crawley player. Stockport 2, Crawley 0. So after Stockport 2, Crawley 0, which went the way we thought it would really, we have got Wigan versus Bristol Rovers. Now Wigan, Wigan won this one 2-0. Wigan are in 16th on 33 points. Bristol Rovers are in 18th on 28 points. Wigan were just a couple of points higher than them in the league. Wigan, though, have had an absolutely outstanding January window, haven't they? Would it work? Would it not work? If this worked, if their transfers worked, I could see them really winning this game. And I thought, Wigan win this one because the desire to get in that team has just been doubled, tripled by the influx of new talent. 36% possession against 64 for Bristol Rovers. Oh dear, you'd expect them not to do quite so well then. But Bristol Rovers just allowed them a little bit too much room in their own back third, and in the end, Wigan got 36% possession, 10 shots though, 2 on target, 2 in the net. They'll be really pleased with that, and I think that they should the fans should be really proud of the way they played. Dogged, determined. They utilised those little gaps when Bristol Rovers just allowed them straight through. I think it was a good game, and I think that Wigan deserved. For me, Wigan deserved it. Bristol Rovers did keep the ball more, and they did pass it more, and they were a little bit better in passing. But Wigan were quite good on the defending, quite good on the tackling, and I think that Wigan deserved that. I thought that they'd probably just squeeze it with the amount of influx that they've got during the transfer window. Wycombe versus Northampton. This was going to be a Wycombe walkover. Northampton have been pulling out 1 or 2 really good games, though, haven't they? They've been pulling out some results that we didn't expect. So they can pull an odd pear-shaped result. But Wycombe, 57% possession, 12 shots, 4 on target, none in the net. They'll be desperately upset that they got 4 on target and none in the net. Like I always say, 4-1 is at the top end is really where you're looking at. And if you're looking at the top 2, you should really be looking at nearer to 2. 1 out of every 2, 1 out of every 3. They had 4 on target, none in the net. 4 on target out of 12, pretty good for a top 10 side. So that's pretty good averages. Northampton Town, 43% possession, 5 shots. We would have expected almost double that. 1 of them on target. Okay, it's just a little bit worse than 4-1. 1 on target. Is it going to go in the net, basically, isn't it? It didn't. And we got 0-0. That was a surprise draw for me. So another surprise. So we got so many surprises. I can't believe it. What a game. What do you think? This was a game week that could have changed absolutely everything. We had top versus bottom. We had teams in the middle who were likely to win or draw that just gave totally different style of play that we expected and a totally different result than we expected. Tell me what you think, because I thought this week's results were absolutely ridiculous. Some of them, well, just 2 or 3 of them were what I expected. The rest of them were just, where did they come from? Tell me in the comments. It's John S.'s Sports Channel over and out for one more League One review. Wow, what a review. Tell me what you think. Like and subscribe.